Okay, so we're back again on day 3 of 5.
That's true.
Day 4 is our last day of preparation.
Preparation,
So I've just literally met up with you. We've got 4 hours today. Today the plan is to do, we decided yesterday, just to recap, is to do all the manoeuvres, go over all of that, including the emergency stop, the new manoeuvres, and then this afternoon get a mock test in, isn't it? So that should be interesting. Now, you've been doing a bit of thinking last night. You've got some questions, you've been doing a bit of research. I've not heard any of this yet, so fire away. How can I?
So, I forgot about box junctions. So, when are we allowed inside? I know that we should look out to not step inside the box junction and create traffic, but I just forgot when you're allowed inside.
As in the yellow hatched?
The yellow hatched box junction,
The time when you're allowed to do it is if you're turning right, so you can wait in the box at the point of turn, waiting to turn right as long as the exit's clear into the new road.
Okay.
So you're here, there's the new road that you're going to go into. If there's cars backing up here, you shouldn't have moved into that box, because in theory then the lights could, it's normally a controlled junction, the lights could change and you'll just be sat here, nowhere to go.
Okay.
If you did go, you'd then block the other road. So so that's the only time it's okay.
I just found that with me, I just wrote down also points in terms of my driving from past lesson. Confusion over traffic lights. When you have several traffic lights found at a junction, so for instance, if you would have one set, second set, and maybe a further third set, that would indicate, you know, with green now going left or right. I found that sometimes I'm not as responsive to those traffic lights. If you see what I mean.
So just explain that. So you've got multiple.
So imagine you have a junction with several traffic lights. You have maybe a pedestrian traffic light, then you have a normal traffic light that is indicative only for the cars going forward, but then you also have a third one across the junction that would indicate, you know, that would show us the cars on the left hand lane to go right, if you see what I mean.
Got you. Let me just grab a quick picture so that I can just confirm it.
When you have, like I said, several traffic lights, and let's say one set of traffic lights is corresponded to one lane, and then another one is corresponded to a different lane, and they're sometimes positioned, one of them is positioned across the junction.
Like filter arrows and stuff?
Yeah. Because I found that...
So something like that? So if you were to turn left, the left filter arrow might come on.
Yeah, so for instance, there might be, you know, the traffic light that indicates turning left or right. It could be across the junction. So if you would have a set of traffic lights here, I would maybe sometimes pay attention to these ones and not look further ahead, if you see what I mean. Okay,
well, these will show the same as the first set.
Well, it's just a video that I saw last night. It was, like I said, it was multiple lanes. So yeah, but anyways, it's just something that I realized looking back, that sometimes I should pay more attention to, and you know which one to look at rather than just the one or two traffic lights.
Right.
See what I mean?
It's going to be the one that's appropriate to your lane.
Yeah.
But look ahead at the lights that could be in front of you before you drive ahead. Sometimes you'll drive ahead, turn, and the light in front of you will be red. Have you ever seen that before?
No.
And some people will go to stop, but the thing is, the light when you turn is facing the opposite way, which has been red lighted. That's why it's red.
Okay.
So if there's not a stop line, a solid white stop line on the floor, that light isn't for you to stop at. It's for somebody else. It's showing someone else information.
Fair enough.
All right. Just the picture that I showed Dory was the light-controlled traffic lights there, just in case somebody's wondering.
So something else that popped into my mind, because it's a new type of driving test, is reverse parking the same as before?
Reverse parking, so yeah, parallel park, and then we've got the driving forwards into a bay as well now. Okay,
fair enough. So before it would be parallel parking, you know, reversing backwards. So there's no changes to that with the new test, right?
No.
Okay.
We might pull up. We're going to pull up on the right today and reverse backwards. That's now classed as one of the manoeuvres as well.
Okay, fine. So I just thought it would be very good. I know you said you thought you went over clutch control basics yesterday, but I think now analyzing, it's definitely maybe a further explanation so that I try and cement it in my head in terms of how to operate the pedals properly, because that just interferes with my, well, to be honest, my confidence when I'm at just about to move into roundabout. So I think if we could at some point you can go over the basics again with me, maybe give me a few scenarios and we can test the the clutch control again. But we shouldn't spend too much time on that, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
With sat nav, I realized that sometimes, well, with your particular sat nav, I didn't check the right hand corner where it's indicating how many yards away or miles, or what kind of what kind of junction. Maybe it's a junction, maybe I need to turn left, maybe it's a roundabout. That's something for myself, basically. Checking the sat nav properly. Something else, lane discipline at the roundabout. I just thought maybe we could try out multiple exits in order for me to correctly plan ahead at the roundabout. So, for instance, if we could go, if we could try and, if let's say there are 5 exits, maybe we can try and go second exit, third exit, which sometimes can be left-hand lane or middle lane. Whereas also you have another type of roundabout. I don't know if we came across it. I don't believe so. We came across in. Maybe we have, but I don't remember, in Derby, whereas a second exit at a roundabout can actually require for you to be on the right-hand lane. So I've written a scheme, drawing, of it. So for instance, first exit would be straight ahead, and then second exit would be somewhere there. So that would require me to be on the right-hand lane rather than, because usually you think first exit, second exit, you need to be on left-hand lane, but it's a matter of actually checking the sign properly and planning ahead. So maybe if there is one roundabout like that, maybe we can have a go at it.
Yeah, certainly. So it's just going to require early planning, isn't it?
Yeah. So last one is, what should I do if I'm unsure about the intent of a car emerging around the roundabout? What to look out for when moving off, other than the car's indicator? Just a general question. And this relates to what I told you earlier about how someone suggested to look at the position of the wheels at the roundabout. So because you really need to keep it fluent, you need to keep going. You don't need to spend too much time. So in my head, I need to understand. I do understand when I need to go, and I think this relates to the clutch control that I need to improve on. So yeah, basically what should I look out for other than the indicators, if you have any other pointers?
I do. Don't look for the indicators. Forget they exist.
Okay.
As a last resort, they can help us to just seal the deal at the end. Right? You want to look for what lane they're in and the probabilities of that lane. But remember, they could be in the wrong lane. I've seen people turn right in the left-hand lane.
Okay.
The biggest thing to look for is speed and position.
So if they're speeding off as they're coming off the roundabout, that means they're probably taking,
a straight path.
Straight path, yeah.
They're probably cutting the lines a bit to enable them to keep the speed. And if they did turn, they'd probably be on 2 wheels, which is normally the case. Then look for indicators. But look for lanes, look for speed, look for position.
So, looking forward.
Look at which way the imagine. Sorry to interrupt you. Imagine the lights at the front are eyes. If you was walking straight on, you'd be looking forward, wouldn't you? Imagine them eyes are starting to look at you. It's probably coming towards you.
Okay. We can look at it like that. So I think for today, if we can. Have another, you can go over with me with the basics of using, clutch, gas, pedal or accelerator, and then trying it out at roundabouts. It's a bit difficult now in the morning because it's not as busy, so it'll be, not necessarily realistic, but easier for me to kind of try it out. But because I realized in the afternoon that's when it gets really busy, so that's
near dinner time.
Yeah. But anyways, I think for me, clutch control definitely needs to improve. Well, we know that anyway. So observations in terms of traffic lights, that's something that I picked up from yesterday's lesson. So it's quite a few things, to be honest.
Let me just bullet point these because there's a few things there, and we've got all the manoeuvres to do as well, and a mock test. I know we've got 4 hours, but I don't want to miss anything. And if I do want to miss it, I want to be conscious that I've missed it.
Okay. So you'll be observations for traffic lights.
Observe traffic lights.
Yeah.
I should have written this down as you were saying it initially, really.
That's fine.
Observe traffic lights, what we're looking for.
So the correct, I mean not the correct, but the appropriate traffic light to my lane.
Which
the lane that I'm in.
Yeah, so which ones are mine?
Yeah, exactly. So lane discipline at roundabout, that's something that I'm not confident with, other than even my positioning at a lane. So sometimes, like, sometimes I'm hugging the center line or the right hand line, let's say, of my lane. So that's something I need to go over with as well.
And whether you keep lane discipline depends on the type of roundabout, because we talked about single lane roundabouts where you just drive over them yesterday. So like you said, looking at floor markings is crucial, because there's going to be all different types and all different requirements for it.
What else? Actually, is it okay to ask a driving examiner how many exits there are at a roundabout? I know this. I think this is automatically, as I know, might be a rhetorical question. But if, let's say, I'm unsure, if it would be independent driving, then that's a straight no. I know that much. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, they will tell you where to go, but working it out is up to you.
It's up to me. Okay, fine.
If you're unsure, or you misheard, or it wasn't clear, the instruction,
I can just ask.
You can ask again. Yeah. No problem.
Okay, fine.
But make sure you ask him plenty of time, so you've got time to act on it.
Okay, fine.
But yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's
other than independent driving part of the test, of course. Okay. So
no, you can still ask on independent driving. If an independent driving, you forget your direction, or you can't understand the sat nav, you can ask and they'll tell you.
Is that a mistake?
It might go down as if it's in the independent section, it might go down as a driving fault.
Okay.
For planning and awareness, usually.
Okay, fine. So I shouldn't really be doing that. So checking sat nav appropriately, the right hand corner. That's something else I need to do. So what else? And just roundabouts, really.
Roundabout decision making,
reading, planning,
reading other cars, isn't it?
Yeah. When to move off.
Reading other cars. In terms of moving off, if you have stopped at roundabouts, that clutch control you're talking about is going to be really important.
It is,
yeah. Reading other cars. Okay, yeah. So sounds good. And you want to go over the clutch and gas as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Clutch, gas in combination with each other. Okay. Yeah, so we've got our plan for today.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yeah, I am.
Cool. Let's do it.
So.
Okay, so you want to go over the clutch and the gas before we get going then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is it that you feel that's missing at the moment?
So sometimes if I look back, what I do is I still try to use my clutch to go to biting point, but I remember you telling me that is not the right way to do it. You should have your clutch down fully, or in neutral, right? So I can demonstrate.
Yeah.
So clutch down fully, and then start revving. Right?
Yeah.
And then start lifting up, lifting, and then moving off.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly right.
Whilst what I'm doing is I'm trying to get it to biting point.
Yes.
And then press gas.
Yes. And as a result, what happens sometimes?
I stall.
And if it doesn't stall,
it just shakes.
Do you know why it shakes like that?
Because the teeth don't match up properly.
Yeah. Well, it wants to be moving. They are matching up. They're trying to move, but they can't because you're stopping the tyres from moving. It would be moving if your foot weren't on the foot brake.
So I'm thinking in terms of my maybe I actually, the fact that I don't put my heel up into the floor. So I'm thinking maybe how should I? Because you need to adjust your seat properly, right? Would you say this is a stretch?
Which part of your foot are you pressing the pedal down with? Because that's we need to make sure it's the ball of the foot.
I'm pressing it
that connects with the middle of the pedal.
I see now. Okay, that one.
So your toes shouldn't be hitting, you know, the actual
the
metal part, the thin bit of the pedal at the back.
Yeah.
Your toes shouldn't be ever touching that.
Okay, it is not touching that.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking the reason I might lift off like that is because you see of the fact that it's kind of interfering with the wheel. So I kind of like try to do that. So I put my leg sideways. That's what I think I do subconsciously, if you see what I mean. Okay.
Well, we can adjust the wheel later, but let's optimise your seating position.
Okay.
You're looking for a slight bend on your left knee.
Okay.
Right. If I was to demonstrate how I would get my seat the best I could possibly get it, ball of the foot connecting with the middle of the pedal, clutch down. I've already done it actually. You might have saw me just adjusting it. Slight bend on the knee. Now, any closer, and that slight bend would become an actual bend, and that means that it's difficult then. There's loads of pressure on my feet and to pivot across the gas and brake. But if I go too far back, that's fine. Any further back than that,
it's a stretch.
I've got to move my body to get it down, and you know when I mean down, I mean it goes to the floor, doesn't it, when we change gear and when we stop. So that'd be no good for me. So I bring it forward a couple of notches. Perfect, comfortable though. Perfect.
So I'm thinking maybe I should. What about lifting the wheel slightly up? What do you say about that?
Yeah, we could do that, but you won't need to do it if your leg doesn't lift upwards. See what I mean?
Oh, so in a way this is impeding it from it lifting off. Is that what I mean? As in it's keeping it not moving up? As in this is an impediment?
Well, no.
Is that what you're saying?
Basically, right, so if I was lifting up on the clutch, I would do this. Watch my knee.
I see. And then...
I'll put my hand there, see if my hand rises. About that much as my heel goes onto the floor.
Okay.
So the steering wheel shouldn't matter really, but you can adjust it afterwards if you feel it's necessary.
Fair enough.
As long as you can still see your dials. But I would
basically, my heel should my ankle should always be kind of shimmying against the floor, is it? So if for instance I'm pushing it like that and then going back, I should allow it to kind of slide over the mat. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Not dragging the mat, but sort of getting into a position where you can just bend. You can do the rest of the bend with the actual ankle. You can't do it from the ankle from the floor because the pedal would slide down the foot and you wouldn't have any control.
Okay. Fine. Let's try it out.
Okay. I'll give you directions in good time, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
At the end of the road, we'll be turning left.
Now, if there's a car coming behind me now, should I indicate?
I'd cancel it unless you're going to pull out.
Okay, fine.
Or unless they're looking for a parking space, but they don't look like they are, then they don't need to know, basically.
Fair enough. Okay.
Because by the time you do move off, where are they?